Optimizing dopamine for a healthy and fulfilling life. Dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitter, plays a significant role in our daily lives. It drives motivation, pleasure, and the pursuit of rewards. But what happens when we experience too many dopamine highs or when we rely too heavily on dopamine-releasing activities? How can we engage in these dopamine-boosting activities in ways that are both healthy and sustainable, while maintaining our overall well-being? In today's world, technology, particularly smartphones, has become an inseparable part of our daily routine, often providing instant gratification in the form of social media, texting, selfies, and notifications. While these activities offer a sense of connection and excitement, they also pose a potential risk to our mental health. A phenomenon known as dopamine reward prediction error explains how our brains are wired to crave rewards, and when we expect them, we become highly motivated to seek them out. This process is not only linked to the pleasures of life, but also explains why certain activities, like gambling, keep people coming back, despite the odds being stacked against them. Research on dopamine release highlights how our brains react to unpredictability. In the case of digital technologies, an intermittent schedule of dopamine release, where sometimes we get a little, sometimes a lot, and sometimes none at all, can lead to disruptions in our baseline levels of dopamine. Over time, this intermittent reinforcement can desensitize our brain, requiring more frequent and intense stimulation to achieve the same level of satisfaction. This is why activities that once felt pleasurable, like exercising or spending time with loved ones, may begin to feel less rewarding. Let's take exercise as an example. Exercise is known to release dopamine and endorphins, contributing to feelings of happiness and fulfillment. However, if we layer additional sources of dopamine, such as listening to music, checking our phones, or consuming caffeine, while working out, we may inadvertently reduce the effectiveness of exercise itself as a rewarding activity. While the intention behind this multitasking is to enhance enjoyment, it can lead to an overstimulation of the brain, which in turn causes a decrease in baseline dopamine levels. Eventually, the activity itself may not feel as fulfilling. I had a personal experience that made me realize this connection between dopamine peaks and baselines. I've always enjoyed working out, but in recent years, I noticed that my workouts were becoming less enjoyable. I would bring my phone along, distract myself with social media, and listen to podcasts, thinking that these additions would enhance my experience. However, I began to lose interest in my workouts, and the same exercises didn't provide the same sense of satisfaction. It dawned on me that by overloading my brain with dopamine through these additional activities, I had inadvertently desensitized myself to the simple pleasures of working out. This realization led me to establish a new rule for myself. I no longer bring my phone to the gym, and I don't listen to music or podcasts from my phone while exercising. While this adjustment was tough in the beginning, especially when it felt like I was missing out on the entertainment, I noticed a shift. My workouts became more enjoyable and fulfilling because I wasn't layering excessive sources of dopamine on top of them. I also felt a sense of accomplishment, not just from the physical results, but from regaining control over my dopamine levels. This approach is about more than just enjoying exercise. It's about understanding how dopamine works in our brains and making conscious choices to modulate its release. By controlling the intensity and frequency of dopamine peaks, we can maintain a healthy baseline and enjoy long-term satisfaction from activities that matter. It's important to note that dopamine isn't inherently bad. It's a crucial part of our motivation system. But the key lies in balance. Engaging in activities without constantly seeking out high levels of dopamine can help us maintain a more stable, sustainable source of motivation and joy. In practical terms, here are some strategies to help maintain a healthy dopamine balance. 1. Moderate rewards. For activities you want to maintain interest in, such as exercise, study, or relationships, try not to chase large dopamine peaks every time. Instead, aim for moderate and intermittent rewards. 2. Be mindful of multitasking. Avoid overloading activities with too many sources of stimulation. For example, try focusing on a workout without checking your phone or listening to a podcast. 3. Vary your routine. Change things up. For example, if you typically work out with music, try exercising in silence every once in a while. This variation can prevent your brain from getting used to the same level of dopamine release each time. 4. Social versus solitary experiences. Sometimes the social aspects of an activity, such as working out with a friend, can trigger stronger dopamine releases. But don't always rely on social interaction for stimulation. Try balancing social and solitary experiences to keep things fresh and rewarding. It's crucial to understand that the brain craves novelty and unpredictability. When we get used to a particular reward, our brain becomes less sensitive to it, and it no longer provides the same level of pleasure. This is why casinos use variable reward schedules to keep gamblers coming back for more. The same principle applies to our everyday activities. By introducing variety and moderation in how we engage with pleasurable activities, we can keep our dopamine system healthy and our motivation levels high. In conclusion, the key to optimizing dopamine and maintaining motivation is not in chasing frequent highs, but in understanding and respecting the balance between peaks and baselines. Whether it's exercise, studying, or social interactions, it's essential to engage in these activities in ways that don't overburden the brain with excessive stimulation. By paying attention to our dopamine patterns and moderating our approach, we can cultivate long-term satisfaction and motivation, making our activities more rewarding and our lives more fulfilling.